Kip, what's up, man? Great to see you. Good to have you back. I think I ran solo last week. I think you
Nope.
ran either solo or with Sean the week before. I don't know. It all gets
No,
mixed into
you
one.
you were just so out of it last week that you just don't even remember
Oh,
that we
that's
had a
right.
conversation together.
That's right. People, you know what's funny? Actually, I had so many people ask if I was drunk or high when I
Yeah.
did the AMA last week and when I did the Friday field notes. And the answer is I was high. I was high on prescription medication. It was the week from hell. Look, I don't want to complain. I really don't, but I do want to say this that sometimes life is just going to kick you in the dick and you just kind of have to take it
Yep.
and adjust. So, I think I told you I had that panic attack, which
Yep.
I'd never had before. Did I mention that?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
We didn't talk about it online. We talked about it before
We
we
didn't.
hit
Okay.
record.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I didn't tell anybody, I guess, online. I had a panic attack. I didn't know if I was having a heart attack or I didn't know what was going on, but I had my kids and I was driving and I was about to go through the Jimmy John's line and I was gonna take them and get some food. Normally I'd make them dinner. I'd cook dinner for them, but I'm like, guys, I can't cook. I'm not feeling it tonight.
Yeah.
So we're in the Jimmy John's line and I'm lightheaded. I'm like heart rate's accelerating. I'm like, what in the world is going on? So I call their mom and I'm like, hey, I something's going on. Like, I don't know what's happening. Something's going on. So can I bring the kids by? She's like, yeah, bring them by. I'm at Costco. I'll be back in 10 minutes, drop them off, go into the ER. So I do. That's what I went into the ER and the doc came in, great ER doc.
What
He's
was your
like,
thoughts? Your thoughts like something's wrong, or was it like I might be having a heart attack, or
no,
you know what I mean?
I knew I wasn't having a heart attack. It
But you're
felt
like
maybe
something's
a
off
little
here.
bit like that, but I thought I was having a panic attack. Like
Got it.
or an anxiety attack. I don't know if there's a difference or whatever,
Yeah.
but that's what I thought it was. And I went in and they did an EKG and ran the blood work and the doc came back. He's like, your blood work looks good, everything's solid. He's like, are you healthy? I'm like, yeah, I'm totally healthy. And he's like, I think you're just having a panic attack. So we're just gonna keep you here and monitor you for an hour, hour and a half, or whatever, give you an IV. And they gave me this medication. It's some strong anti-anxiety medication. and
Just
it,
knocks
it,
you out.
oh, dude, the dosage is heavy the first couple of days, and then it gradually weans you off of it over time. And I feel a lot better now.
Yeah.
So I had that happen, and then 2 days later, I'm driving down. So it's gonna be a gripe session, but the point that I'm making is like just roll with the punches, guys. So I'm driving down from Zion area. I live near Zion National Park. I'm driving down. I'm on a date, and we're coming back from dinner, and a deer is in the middle of the road. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna hit this deer. Like
Yeah.
I'm 100% gonna hit this deer. So I hit my brakes, slow down, and I hit the deer at maybe 25 miles an hour. And it was a doe, and she was big, big mule deer. She rolls like four times. Like I wasn't speeding or anything, but she rolls four times. And the woman I was with like screamed and she covered her eyes. And I'm like, it's all right. Like, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm like, it's okay. The deer's okay. She's like, the deer's not okay. I saw its head bounce off the hood of the truck. And I'm like, no, I promise. When you closed your eyes, it got up and ran away. She's like, no, it didn't. I'm like, where is it? Point, like, show me, where is it? And she looked and she's like, I don't see it. I'm like, yeah, it ran away. She's like, how? I'm like, because they're resilient.
Yeah,
So
they're
I
tough.
get up, I get out, I pull over, I turn my hazard lights on, and I look at the front of my truck, and there's like this little teeny dent on the bumper. Just a teeny
Nice.
little dent on the bumper. And she's like, Ryan, I'm like, what? She's like, here's the deer. And I'm thinking to myself, sweet, the deer died. I'm going to throw the deer in the back of my truck. And her and I are going to clean this thing tonight. I'm going to have more meat in
He's
the
joking,
freezer.
by the way, for anyone that wants to like.
No, I'm not joking. I'm dead serious.
You can't do that, man. That's actually they would classify it as poaching. You still have to go to like fishing
No, I
game
would
to have
call.
them
I would
clear, right?
call. Yeah, of
Oh, okay.
course. I
There
wouldn't
you go.
just take it.
I'm helping you out here.
No,
Yeah.
no, I would have called DNR and said, "Hey, I just hit this deer. Come check it out." You know, they have to check and make sure everything's on the up and up.
Yeah.
But you can actually take it with permission. So yeah, I would
Yeah.
definitely call for sure.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, sweet, I have more deer in the freezer. And she's like, "Here's the deer." And I go over there and I'm like, "It's alive." And it runs up the hill and it runs away. And she's, she was fine. And she's a softie when it comes to that stuff, which is fine. It was just kind of funny. So I got this little dent on my truck. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I'll get it replaced. I got a $500 deductible. Maybe I'll just leave it. It's a small dent. No big deal. So I'm driving down the road yesterday. I make a turn and I'm driving, and all of a sudden, wham, this car just drills me out of nowhere.
Like T-boned or
Not T-bone, hit the front driver side of my truck. Just rams right into me. I'm like, what in the world? So I'm like, I think my truck's still drivable. I look, I'm like, I think I can drive it. So I pull it over. I turn my hazards on again. I pull over to the side of the road. This woman's in the middle of the road. Her car is demolished. Like the whole half of it is just thrashed.
Yeah.
And I go over there. I'm like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I could tell she was in shock. And I said, "You're in shock. Like, everything's okay. I'm okay. I have a passenger in the car. They're okay. We're okay. Everybody's fine. You're not hurt. You don't look like you're bleeding. Are you okay?" She's like, "Yeah." So somebody comes over and they're like, "Hey, have you called the police yet?" I'm like, "No, it just happened." So this guy calls the police. And long story short, I don't know where she came from, but they cited her for failure to merge, and she just smashed the side of my front quarter panel and bumper. I'm like, sweet, I'm getting a new bumper out of the deal, anyways. And so I'm like, this is crazy, like all this stuff. So I'm driving my truck around and it's fine, it's drivable, but it doesn't look awesome. So this morning, my buddy calls me up. Last story, I promise. Calls me up. And he's like, "Hey man," last night, he's like, "Hey man, do you want to come play pickleball?" He just built an indoor pickleball court at his house. It's beautiful. He's like, "You want to come play pickleball?" I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." So I get up at 5:30 this morning. I meet him and two other buddies over there. We're playing pickleball. We're playing, two on two. One of the guys has to go because he has to get ready for work. And he's like, "Hey, we'll just play 2-on-1." I'm like, "Great." So I'm playing against these guys. And all of a sudden, something hits me in the back of my leg. Like it felt like a rock. But it's indoor. I'm like, what just hit me? Like I turned around because it felt like a rock hit me in the calf. Nothing hit me. I realized my calf popped. And so it's like, dude, it's almost unbearable to walk on right now. And I hesitate to tell that story because I think I tore my calf muscle or something playing pickleball. Like it's totally embarrassing. So now I got to go to the doctor today. I got to call the VA, which is even worse than just going to the regular doctor. Call the VA and tell him I think I tore my calf muscle or something. It's like, damn.
You're just playing mid game and pop.
Yeah, it wasn't like I wasn't like diving for a ball. I wasn't like doing anything particularly cool. Like I just like stopped and adjusted and like went and hit the ball and it just popped. So this has just been a week. I don't want to say a week from hell because it can get way worse. But guys, the moral of the story here.
What are you gonna do?
Sometimes like, shit. And let's just keep rolling with the punches and just hope it gets better. So how's your week been, Kip? Now that you know all about my last.
I mean, we chatted a little bit Yeah, we chatted a little bit on over the
Oh, we
weekend,
did.
but
That's right.
yeah, I'm a little stressed. Yeah, I'm just kind of like in those. And I like actually what you said because that's how I feel. It's just like, you know what? Sometimes you just need to grind it out.
Yeah.
And so I'm in a grind phase of just grind, just keep going,
Yeah.
and not throw my hands up completely, because I have a tendency, like if I'm in a really bad state, I'll just F everything, I'm
Hmm.
not going to gym, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? And I'm like, nope, keep to my schedule, keep doing what I do. And, I'll get out of my little slump here, hopefully soon.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, it's a wild thing, but here's one other thing I would say is just don't isolate. Right. And I'm not telling you just you
Yeah.
that. I'm telling the guys, like,
Absolutely.
don't
Well,
isolate. Don't throw a pity party. Find good people to be around, even if you have to drag yourself out of the house. Engage in hobbies, like find hobbies and interests that are important to you. Be careful of substances. I think it's very easy for a lot of guys to turn to drugs or
yeah.
booze. I've certainly done that in the past. Don't do that. Keep like eat healthy. Like don't just let your health deteriorate because it's going to get worse and worse. All the things that we've been talking about, just
Yeah.
keep doing it, and then things will get better.
And
So
you said this a couple of weeks ago. It's like disrupt. It's like, you know what? Go do that thing that you don't want to go do, right? When the
yeah,
buddy
for
calls you up
sure.
and says, "Hey, do you want to go whatever?" Probably
Yeah,
say yes,
yeah,
and you'll be better off for it. So
yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
for sure.
All right, man.
All
Well,
right.
cool. Let's get to some questions today.
Yeah, sounds good. So we're going to field questions from the Iron Council. To learn more about the Iron Council, go to orderofman.com/Iron Council. We'll be opening up membership enrollment roughly in about a month, the 15th of December.
Yeah,
So stay
yeah,
tuned
yep. A little
for
less than a
that.
month.
All right. Brandon Morsey. I've worked for the last 4 years on me. I've overcome obstacles, faced demons, and learned to look at myself in the mirror again. Yet the old tendencies still linger. There's no flame, but the coals are still hot under the surface. Does this stop over more time? I'm constantly checking myself and my mindset to stay on the path that seems like a part-time job, keeping me in line and exhausting. Is there a point where these habits are who we are and not who we strive to be? Great
I,
question.
I really like the question. I don't know if the habits are the problem or the underlying thought process or mentality is the
Right.
problem. And I don't even know if it's a problem. I wouldn't say it's a problem. I have personally a propensity to be very angry. I can get angry quickly, and I don't think that will ever go away. I don't think that one day I'll just be, a happy, pleasant person, and everything will be wonderful, and I'll never be angry again. I just think that things are going to irritate me, and I'm going to get angry, and I'm going to get pissed off, and so to the analogy he was using about the coals, it's not the habit, it's what you do with that behavior. So with the propensity for anger or frustration or a short fuse, which is me, I'm describing myself. What are the outlets I need? Well, jujitsu is a good outlet for me. Physical activity is a good outlet for me. If I'm not doing those things, then I can let the anger that wells up inside of me overtake me very quickly. And I can actually do things that are inappropriate, whether it typically comes across in ways that I communicate with people I care most about. That's how it comes across. So if I'm active physically, I notice that allows me to harness that frustration or the anger or the contention. It gives me an outlet to deal with things that are challenging and frustrating. I've also noticed that just going for a walk will actually calm me down too. So if I'm upset about something, turn the phone off, disengage from social media, don't allow anybody to come into your space, and just go for a walk. Think about no music. I don't put music on. I don't listen to a podcast, certainly, because that'll piss me off too. Depending on the podcast I listen to, and just going for a walk, having a little bit of some time just to decompress and unwind is a big thing for me. So Point of the story is I don't think it's the habit that's the problem. I think it's your underlying personality. And the more you know yourself, the more you can equip yourself with proper actions that allow you to deal with the frustrations or the temptations. One temptation might be lust, for example. I mean, how many guys do we hear who are dealing with sex addiction, pornography addiction? It's not the habit that's the problem, because sex,
Mindset.
physical release in a healthy relationship is actually a good, virtuous, righteous thing. It's when it's inappropriate that it's not. So, what's the behavior? What's the trigger? And then what can you do differently so that you don't act out in inappropriate ways?
Absolutely. I feel, yeah, I might go a little off tangent here, but this is one of the dangers when we get wrapped up in what should or should not be. Because if we look at this, Ryan, and I go, well, I shouldn't have these tendencies, or I shouldn't be this way, then we almost like, so if it stuck with me, then it's like, it almost perpetuates it and makes it worse with this idea that it shouldn't be this way.
Right.
And there's value in just saying, hey, this is I made up this way. Like I've
Right.
had these
Right.
experiences and I have these tendencies. So I'm dealing with who is Kip. And I've accepted it. And I know I have tendencies to do certain things, and I got to watch myself. I got to avoid certain circumstances because of my upbringing and my experiences and what I've made those things mean in my life. And there's some power in just saying it's okay. Like those coals are just coals. That's all they are. And we all have those coals in our fires that, if we're not careful, can catch the house on fire, or they can keep us warm, and we can actually use them to benefit us in some
Yeah.
cases as well. And
Yeah.
so I would celebrate who you are as a person. I know it sounds a little foo-foo-y, but you're whole and complete. It's amazing what you can accomplish, but we just got to be careful on how we use our talents and our experiences and our mindsets to serve ourselves and others. And I think when we demonize it, it almost makes it feel like, well, it shouldn't be, right? I shouldn't have. And it's like, but you are. So what are we going to do with it? And what's still in reality? And it's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. But I'm in the same camp. Those things will never go away. They'll never go away.
And you don't want them to. Like I think about
They're
my
part of who you
propensity to
are.
be angry or get frustrated. When I'm my most productive, when I'm angry and frustrated.
Yeah.
Like that's when I'm most, like, if there's an issue that I'm dealing with with work that I'm frustrated about, guess when I'm the most productive? When I'm dealing with those issues. So
Okay.
I don't want to lose that part of me. That part of me is good. It's when it's not tempered and controlled. If we're using that analogy of coals, think about this. You're out this weekend, you're with your family, you're on a camp out, and you let the campfire burn that evening, and you go to bed, and you want to wake up and you want to stoke the fire. You want to put a pot of coffee on the fire or cook some bacon for the family so they can wake up and have breakfast. You can see the hot coals. And what do? You put a little kindling in there and you blow on those coals. Just a little blow, a little air on those coals. Those things light up, they ignite dry leaves, dry pine needles, and all of a sudden you have a fire because the coal was still burning. So the coal is a good thing. To your point, it keeps you warm, it starts the fire, it cooks the bacon. It could also burn down the forest. So let's be aware of how we're using it.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Andy Collins. In currently load trailers by
I
hand.
think he says I currently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I saw that.
All right. I currently load trailers by hand in a distribution center. And to be honest, there will be a point eventually that I cannot physically do the work anymore. How would you suggest finding a new path of work to go towards? I've tried skilled trades and didn't have the necessary aptitude in that line of work and was on the path towards being a management, but found that it's in an area I have no desire to pursue. I'm looking for a career that I can enjoy and feel like I can contribute to others and be satisfied.
Well, I got a little distracted because I was thinking about an answer before I heard the entire question. He said that he is not interested in leading. What is he not interested in?
Yeah, he says he's thought about a path towards management, but found that that
Management. Okay.
area has no desire to pursue.
Okay. Yeah. The only reason I thought about that is because to me, as an entrepreneur, I'm thinking to myself, I need to hire somebody to load the trailer.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's where my first thought was, yeah, I don't want to load the trailer. I want to set up the trailer. I want to do the marketing. I want to
Automation.
get the business. I want to grow the business. I want to do all of that. And I want to hire a couple of kids to load the trailer because I don't want to load the trailer. So
Yeah.
that's where my thought goes. He doesn't sound like he's interested in that. I don't even know if he owns the business necessarily or where he's at or if that's even a possibility.
Yeah.
But what I would say for anybody who's not satisfied in their career, I like what you say actually is make the most of it, of what you're currently doing. Maybe you can find a new and better way to load trailers that doesn't require as much physical labor. Maybe there's a better way to, to back the truck up or, hey, we need a new place because we need a loading dock because none of us want to kill our backs. Maybe we need new equipment. We need a new lightweight forklift, or we need a lift on the back of one of our trucks, and that will help us load these trailers quicker. There's certain things that you can do, but whatever it is with your business that you're already in, if you can maximize, and I'm stealing this directly from you, Kip, if you can maximize what you're currently doing, everything about your life will get better. And in the meantime, then you can also follow pursuits that are interesting to you. And that's all you do is you follow veins. Like what a lot of people will do is they'll say, well, I don't like what I'm doing right now, but maybe I could do this. Well, I can't do that because I can't make money. Well, maybe I could do this. Well, I can't do that because I don't know anybody. Maybe I could do this. Well, I can't do that because I don't have capital. And so what they do is they'll disqualify everything that sounds even remotely interesting to them before they even give themselves an opportunity to do it. What I would suggest is pursuing something that is interesting, pursuing something that you're doing when time moves the fastest. I really like coaching type situations. That's my personality. If I'm good at something, I feel like I have the heart of a teacher where I really am excited about teaching people things. If I know something, I want somebody else to know it,
Yeah.
whether it's jujitsu or how to hunt, or how to build a cabinet. I really enjoy figuring things out, tinkering with projects, tinkering with mechanics. These are all things that I like, and you can pursue those. And all you have to do is invite one other person to come with you and charge them for it. Hey, I'm going to do this camp out, and I'm bringing 4 guys. I'm going to teach some survival stuff because I really enjoy doing that. We're going to make fires. We're going to do lean-tos. I'm going to show you guys some basic medical survival stuff, and we're going to learn how to build a fire. And I'm not charging a lot for it. I need some help just with some materials and just a little bit of money for my time. So it's, $75 each or $100 each for the weekend. And I'll teach you guys some skills. And now you're doing something you love, and you're making a little bit of money doing it, and you're finding out if this is something that you could do on a greater scale. So look for things that you're interested in, that you're already doing, that you already enjoy. Other prompts that you can consider is, what are people asking you for advice for? If people are constantly asking advice about, hey Ryan, how do I build a website, they're seeing something in you that you might not see in yourself.
Yeah.
If they're constantly asking you, hey, you take beautiful pictures, like, could you take our family photos? They're seeing something in you that, again, you may not recognize in yourself. And so you can look for those little prompts, and you can do those things while you're loading trucks and getting really good at loading trucks. So you're being invaluable at work, but also creating something over here on the side.
Yeah, that's spot on. And you've already kind of alluded to it a little bit, but like Andy, like, and obviously we read these questions for everyone's benefit, but like, be careful, like those guys that are like, if you're where you don't want to be careful not to show up weak there. This is not going to serve you. In fact, if it's going to hinder you, because you're going to rob yourself of opportunity for growth in what you're currently doing, but you don't know, right? Like, let's say Andy's like, man, I hate loading trucks, but man, the logistics and the scheduling of things is really interesting. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if you show up poorly and you came to me and was like, hey, Kip, I want to learn about the logistics and scheduling of trucks, I'm like, I want to give you a chance.
No way.
Because you're being lazy and not loading, you're not winning at the very little simple task of loading the truck. So
Right.
why would I even give you an opportunity? But
Right.
far too often we're like, oh, this is not my thing. But if I go do this other thing over here, Ryan, then I'll show up powerfully. Then I'll bring it to the table. It's like, no, you won't. If you're lazy where you are now, you're gonna be lazy in some other role.
Good
So
point.
stop,
Good
just don't
point.
be lazy and like win at it. So then that way people will see something in you and they can trust you because you're consistent and you work hard. Because I could even see a talent in you, Ryan, and go, man, Ryan's so talented here. But if you're flaky with what we do today, I'm still not
Doesn't
going to give
matter.
it to you
Yeah.
because I can't rely on you. You're inconsistent.
Right.
So just don't do that.
One of the things that you could do as you're saying this is, I don't know how you measure what you track, or what, like, I don't know what you look at, but let's say that you load 5,000 pounds, and you actually spend some time and you calculate it. And I'm just throwing out numbers here, so I could be completely off, but let's say it takes to load 1,000 pounds, uh, takes you 30 minutes. I don't know, whatever, right? Takes you 30 minutes. Track it and see if you can get 1,000 pounds down to 28 minutes, down to 25 minutes, down to 20 minutes, and do that. That little competition right there will allow you to be better and make it more enjoyable. You'll have other guys that want to compete with you, and all of a sudden
Absolutely.
now you're going to get noticed because you're leading, and your boss is like, man, why all of a sudden is our entire crew so productive? Like, this used to take us 4 hours, and what was taking us 4 hours is now only taking us 2 hours. Like, what's going on here? And to your point, they're going to start looking for what's happening, and they're going to notice, oh, it's Andy. Andy's the one who's doing
Yeah,
this.
showing up powerfully. All the other guys are excited about being here because he's here.
Yeah.
Man, this
Yeah.
guy's a natural leader, right? Yeah, like,
Yep.
yeah, man. And I know, Andy, by the way, like in college, I loaded trucks at a distribution center. Yeah, I stand at the back of a semi, conveyor belt, giant boxes coming at you, and you're just loading trucks all day. And it's hard work, man. It smelled like
I'm
cardboard. I
sure.
know it's kind of weird, but I totally smell like cardboard all the time. But it's funny, when I went to go leave there, the guy's like, dude, Kip, we wanted to make you a trainer. I'm like, why? Because you load the truck so good.
Yep.
I'm like,
Yep.
that's funny. Of course, when I'm like,
Exactly.
hey, so what does that mean? And he's like, well, you get a t-shirt and you get a trait. And I'm like, wait, no comp?
You're like, and my income goes up by how much? Oh no, it doesn't go up. You're like, nah,
Zero.
I'm
Yeah.
good. Thanks though.
But you don't have to load the truck all the time. Save your back.
No, that's
Oh,
true.
okay.
That's true.
So anyhow. All right. Stephen Church, what Thanksgiving traditions do you carry on from your youth? And maybe just add maybe from your youth or Thanksgiving traditions.
I don't know. I mean, we get these questions a lot. I'm not real nostalgic on this kind of stuff, so these questions don't really resonate with me too deeply. I'm sure I
Yeah.
do the same things as everybody else. You like break the wishbone. Um,
We never do that actually. So
oh, you don't? Yeah.
no, not at all.
I don't know. Eat turkey. I don't know what I
How
don't
you
really know what.
cooking your turkey? You like deep frying this? You was it spatchcocking it? Whatever. You know what I'm
I
talking
don't
about?
know. Yeah, no, where you like splay it open, right?
Yeah.
Um I don't know. I'm gonna sound like my kids are with their mom this year
So
for Thanksgiving.
you're going
So
to um Golden Corral or something.
yeah, exactly. It's my first year of doing this where the kids
You want
aren't
to
with
join
me
us?
on this holiday. Maybe, possibly. Yeah.
You
I
can
mean,
join us for Thanksgiving.
I've got a couple of
You'd like.
I appreciate the invite. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've got a couple of invites. And so I'm sure I'll find somewhere to
Yeah.
go eat something.
You should.
But
You should go. Like and then I'm not babying you or anything, but
no, I don't think that. Yeah.
I remember having my first holidays alone. Um, they were horrible, and I didn't want to go
Yeah.
with anybody, but I hated it. So you should
Yeah,
go.
Yeah, no, and I will. I've got a couple of invites, and I'll find something to do. And I appreciate the invite from you too, and I'll take that into consideration. So, but yeah, I'll find something to do. So anyways, it's not about me. I'm not trying to be like, well, I don't have anything to do. Like, who
Yeah, yeah.
can somebody, so but as far as traditions, I don't know. One tradition I always liked is the day after Thanksgiving, we'd always go cut down a Christmas tree. That was always the cool thing. I like doing
Yeah, you
that.
do that on the Friday.
Yeah. Um, But yeah, just same things as everybody else, I'm sure,
Cool.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
We boycott Black Friday. That's
Oh,
something
that's
we've
a good
done for the
idea.
last 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
I'm with you on that.
we hop in the car and we drive to Lava Hot Springs.
Oh, you do?
We rent an Airbnb and we just hang out
That's
in lava
cool.
all weekend.
That's cool. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's super like lazy. Just like watch Netflix, eat scones from the Wagon Wheel Diner, and hop in hot water during the evening. Like that's all
That's
we do.
perfect. I think that's
Yeah, it's great.
perfect.
Our kids love it. So
I don't like sales in general. Like the one that bothers me is 4th of July sales, Memorial Day sales, Veteran Day sales. People
yeah,
ask me like, "Oh, are you guys gonna do a sale for Memorial Day?" I'm like, "No, it's fucking Memorial Day."
get to
Like
work.
it, and you're asking me for 10% off on a t-shirt? Like, get out of here. I don't know. Maybe I need to be better at that. But so when you said boycott Black Friday, I'll do sales. I just think if you're gonna do Veterans Day, like it's Veterans Day. It's not 20% off of your shit from China Day.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm with you on that.
that's funny. All right. Kyle Christian. I would like to hear about each of your first hunting experiences, probably yours more than mine, and what you have learned about yourself hunting.
My first hunting experience was with Colin Cottrell, and he invited me
Hogs
out.
or deer?
Deer, yeah,
Deer.
whitetail. He
Okay.
invited me out, and he was like, "Hey, man, let's go hunt. I want to take you hunting." I'm like, "I've never been hunting." He's like, "Yeah, so I want to take you." I'm like,
It's super cool. I
"Okay."
didn't know this, by the way, until you brought this up last week.
Oh, you didn't know
That
just till
Colin
last
invited you,
week?
and that was your first hunting trip. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
that's
know
my
that.
first hunting trip. Yeah.
That's cool.
So I was like, "Cool, I'll go hunting with you." And I'm like, "What do I need?" He's like, "Well, we're gonna kill 2 deer each, and so one with a rifle and one with a bow." And I'm like, "Well, I don't have either." He's like, "Yeah, we'll go buy something." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, I guess I could do that." Right? Because like,
Yeah.
isn't that what we do? We come up with all the excuses,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
"I
I've
can't
done this
do
to
it, I
you.
don't do
You're like,
this,
Kip,
I
let's go
don't."
bow hunting. I'm like, I don't have a bow. And you're like, well, you could get one.
Yeah. So I go buy a
Perfect.
rifle and buy a bow, and I go out there, and I'm sitting there, and a deer comes in, and the guy that we're hunting with, he was trying to manage his property, so he wanted to shoot deer that didn't have good genetics. So if people know anything about deer population, you have certain deer that are mature and old, but their genetics aren't good. Like they don't grow good horns, and you don't want
Mhm.
those deer breeding. You want good genetics if you're trying to grow a good ranch. And this wasn't high fence. This was just public land. It's private land, but it's not high fenced.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Hey, I just want to shoot deer out of here that are mature, old, but aren't good genetics. We just need to get them out of the gene pool." So this deer comes in, and Colin's like, "That's a good deer. Like, shoot that deer." I'm like, "That's looks like Bambi," because it just has these like little horns. And
Yeah.
I'm like, "That looks like Bambi." He's like, "If you're not going to shoot it, I'm going to shoot it." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll shoot it." And he's like, "All right, shoot it." And I had my phone on my knee, and I had my rifle on my scope, or on my shooting stick. And I was about to shoot it, and my phone fell off my knee. And Siri was like, "I'm sorry, I did not recognize your command," or whatever she said. I'm like, "Oh shit." And the deer didn't hear it, and it was like 75, 80 yards away. And so I took a shot, and I didn't know. I'm like, I know I hit it. I'm like, "I hit it." He's like, "That was a great shot." I'm like, was it? I don't know. Like it ran
Yeah.
off. I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't know if they just died or
Yeah.
what.
You thought it would maybe just drop right there.
That's what I thought. And he's like, "No, it's a good shot." He's like, "Did you see where it went?" I'm like, "No, I just like I shot it, and then it was just gone." And he's like, "Okay, I watched it." So this is the value of going with somebody who's hunted before.
Yeah.
So we go up to where I shot it, and we found blood, and we're looking around, and I was a little discouraged because I'm like, I don't know, did I hit it good? Or he's like, no, it's dead. We just need to find where it is. And it was like 40 yards away. We found it and it was dead.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Like it felt really good. It was kind of sad. And I
Yeah.
have it. It's out in my living room, and it's like it's called crab claw because it has these like long, just single horns and just like two little crab claws at the top. So it's
Mm.
an old deer. It's a really old deer, but it's just a weird
Yeah.
rack. It's bad genes. So it was like the perfect deer we wanted to get out of there.
So what did
And
you,
then
oh, go ahead.
what's that? No, go
I was
ahead.
just going to ask you just to make sure that you share, like, what did you learn about yourself? Because that was the second part of this question.
Yeah, so let me explain the next deer that I shot. So 2 days later, I shot another deer. It was a young deer, it was a spike. I probably wouldn't want to shoot that deer. That wouldn't be a deer
Yeah.
I would shoot
Yeah.
or try to shoot. I had an experience last week where I inadvertently shot a very young buck. We'll just leave that story for another day. I killed him and harvested him, and he's in my freezer. But so it worked. It was a success, but not the way I wanted it to play out.
Yeah.
But I shot this deer with my bow, and I gut shot at it.
Mm.
And Clay and Colin, the guys we were with, were like, "Hey, let's just let it bed down. It's not dead. Just let it bed down." We went into town. We went and had dinner. We waited like 3 hours, came back out, found it. It was still alive, and I had to kill it. That
Yeah.
wasn't cool. I
Yeah.
didn't like that. But what I learned about myself is I'm really impatient. And I knew that
Yeah.
already.
And hunting
Uh,
will draw that out.
for sure. So that's been helpful. And then also I get really excited when I see a big, nice buck that I want to shoot. And so I get
Yeah.
buck fever is what it's called.
Yeah.
And you end up just doing dumb things. You just make bad shots. When I
Yeah.
was
You
in
rush or
Minnesota
whatever.
last week, this giant buck came in, and I'm like, oh, like he was a beautiful buck, big, mature buck, kind of a weird left antler, but a beautiful buck. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to shoot this thing. And I drew back. I went through all of my routine, and I shot, and I thought I gut shot it. And I'm like, oh man, like I was pretty certain he was going to die. I just knew it was going to take a while to find him.
Yeah. Especially with an arrow,
And
right? Like that's going to
with an
take
arrow.
much
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah. And the arrow didn't pass through him. So it just stuck in him. I'm like, oh, this is not good. And we spent hours. We spent 2 hours, maybe a little longer that night. We went out the next morning and spent a couple hours looking and just never could find the thing. And actually, a couple days after I left, the guys that I was with, Tom and his grandson, they actually saw the buck. And
Put
the
that arrow in
grandson,
him.
when the arrow wasn't there, but the
Okay.
wound was still there. And I
Yeah.
shot it in its back hip. And I won't say his grandson's name just out of respect, but the
Yeah.
grandson, he's a great kid. I love the kid. He's awesome. He can find blood. He's a little bloodhound. He can help track deer. He's awesome. But I'm not going to say his name just out of respect. But yeah, he saw the deer. He's like, that's an awesome deer. His left side was weird, but he was awesome. And he had a big hole in his back hip where I had shot him with the arrow. And he's like,
Yeah.
other than that, he looked healthy. So he was fine. So I
Yeah. He's
felt a
probably
little
gonna
better
make do.
that he's
Yeah.
going to live. Yeah. But yeah, I just do dumb things when I'm rushed or when I'm anxious or not prepared. So the moral of the story is for me is to really be prepared. So in my garage right now, I'm actually building a 17-foot tripod so I can practice archery, not just from
While you
level,
work
but I
out.
can practice from no, so I can
Okay.
practice from shooting down, because in a whitetail hunt you're shooting from a tree stand or a tripod, so the angle changes and that changes the
Um,
trajectory of your arrow because of
got it. Because
physics and gravity. I won't
gravity's
get
in
into all of
play.
that.
Yeah. In a different way. Yeah.
Well, gravity is less if it impacts your arrow less if you're shooting down, so
Yeah.
you need to actually aim lower. If you're shooting from above, you need to aim lower because gravity is not going to impact your arrow as much as if it would if you were shooting level.
Yeah.
It's like all sorts of weird stuff
Awesome.
you would never
Yeah.
know until you just go out in the field and you learn it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Um, I want to get to this other question, and I know we have a hard stop at the top of the hour, so I'm going to skip and plus my first hunting experience isn't as entertaining. All right, so Tyler Smith, we're hopping over to Facebook here.
Okay.
Why is it easier to perform or excel at work than it is at home? I recently promoted to E7, senior non-commissioned officer in the military, and just also got picked up to be a commissioned officer. So things are going great professionally. But at home, I feel like my wife and I frequently are on the verge of arguments. My kids and I have good relationships, but could always be better. And I feel like there's never enough time to spend with them. And my finances are a mess. We have never been able to really get ahead of our debts. So I'm starting a second job this week to work on that front, but I feel like it's going to take years to fix our financial mess.
I think it's easier because the role at work is more defined and definitive than the role at home is. I think that's the ultimate thing. You know, when you go to work, especially as a military man, and congratulations on your promotion, everything is lined out. Like, you know what needs to be done.
You know what
You know,
performing
you
is.
have a deadline. You know what performance is. You know what marks or measures whether that's a success or not a success.
Yeah.
And so everything is measured.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
it's go ahead.
just really funny, right? Just to interrupt your thought really quick is like E7, right? Like there's no E7 for marriage. You know, it's like, hey,
Right,
Ronnie, dude,
exactly.
I reached E5.
Right.
Really good job as a
Good
husband.
job. Well
Awesome.
done.
You know, there's
Yeah.
nothing. Right. Yeah.
There's nothing. And even, you know, because we like to talk about jujitsu so much, it's the same thing. You get your blue belt, you get your brown belt, you get your
Yeah.
purple
I'm
belt.
getting
You're
better.
like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm getting better. Like, I know these moves now, or, you know, I know this submission, or I know how to defend myself in this situation. And so there's actual tangible metric of improvement, and there's
Yeah.
acknowledgement of it. You get your
Yeah.
black belt, you know, or you get your E7 at home. Going outside and playing basketball with your son doesn't really move the needle the same way. It does. Don't get me wrong. It moves the needle,
Yeah.
but you don't see the needle moving.
Yeah.
Like, you don't, like, if, for example, if you're
That may
looking at
not
your
be
bank
realized until
account,
he's 30. Yeah.
exactly. But
Yeah.
if you go and you're talking about your financial situation, if you go put 10 grand in your bank account, you can pull up your bank account and say, okay, well, I had 30 grand in my bank account and now I have $40,000. Like, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
But if you go outside and you play basketball with your kid for a half hour and you joke and you play and you're having a good time, you're having fun, and he's like, thanks, Dad, I love you. You know, that feels good. And then you go inside and his buddy calls and he's like, hey, can you come over? He's like, yeah, I'll come over. And he leaves. And it's like, well, shit. Like, I thought we were having a good time. And you were having a good time. And you did move the needle, but there wasn't any metric of improvement immediately. You know, and that's the hardest thing, is that this is why I think if you take somebody who's a contractor, for example, a builder, like, you could drive around town and they're so excited. They're like, I built that house. I did the electric on that house. Oh, I did that yard work. And they're so excited because they can actually see the result of their effort. But you can't see that as easily at home. And so when things are wrong and you want to improve, like we all do, you don't think about going to talk to your wife, because, like, how do you measure that your relationship is better because you had a good conversation? So you think, well, I'll just go get another job and put more money in the bank account, because that I can measure that, and that's what the family needs. And that might be what the family needs, but that's not all that the family needs. So I think what you can do is you can start looking at ways to quantify your success as a father and a husband. And so playing 30 minutes with your kid, playing basketball for 30 minutes with your kid, that's a metric you can measure. And you should measure it. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I played 30 minutes. So this week we spent 2 hours in the driveway this week. Okay, good. Next week, see if you can do 2.5 hours. Right. Or you can say, all right, we got 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. That's 21 meals. This week, we had 10 meals together as a family. We had every dinner together as a family. We had a few lunches together as a family, and we did 2 breakfasts as a family. So we did 10 out of 21. Can we do 11 next week? Yeah, I think we can do 11. Let's try to do 11. And so you can find things that you can quantify and put metrics to with your wife. You want to have a good relationship with her? Look, I went through a divorce. And so people say, well, who are you to say? I'm just telling you what I wish I would have done. And one thing I wish I would have done is had more of these conversations instead of zoning out and having a few beers at night and getting drunk. I wish I would have talked to her. And I could say, okay, my wife and I had a great conversation for 20 minutes tonight about how her day went and how my day went, or, what the rest of our week looks like, or, what she's excited about for Christmas. And so 20 minutes. So I would write that in my journal, 20-minute talk with my wife. And then you look at your journal on Sunday and you're like, I talked with my wife for 3 hours this week, specifically about like just her and I, undivided 3 hours worth of time. Can I get 4 hours next week? Yeah, I think I'm going to try that. And I wish I would have done things like that, because then that allows us as men to quantify. And sometimes people will say things like, well, that's disingenuous. You should just do it. That sounds all fine and great, but that doesn't work. So anything that we care about, we invest in and we quantify it and we track it and we measure it. And then we look for ways to improve. You could look at it with sex. Hey, I want to be more intimate with my wife. So last week we had sex once. That's not enough for me.
So next week will be 5 seconds.
That's right. So I want to have more sex with my wife. Okay. That's fair. I think most guys listening would probably fall into that camp. Like, I'd like to have more sex with my wife. Okay. What does that take? Well, I got to take her out. I can't just show up naked, looking like an orangutan at the end of the bed, thinking that she's going to be turned on and want me to jump her bones. Right. So, okay. Well, date night. I've noticed that if I take my wife out on a date and I take her to this particular restaurant and we laugh and we play and we have a few drinks, if that's your thing, or we go, bowling or go see a movie or go see a play, the odds of me getting lucky improve. So like, why wouldn't you document that? And so if you want to have more sex, maybe do that 2 nights a week instead of 1 night. The point I'm making here is that whatever you want to get better in your life, you have to measure it. And this is our battle planner. I have it on my desk because I go through it every day. And the first quote on there, I don't know if people can see right there. Yeah. That first quote is this: that which is measured improves. That which is measured improves. So the reason you're so good at work, like most guys are, is because you think that's your job, that you think that's your only job, and you know what you need to do, so you do it. But at home, you don't measure it like you do at work. And that's the differentiating factor.
Excellent. And we're up on time, so we'll go ahead and wrap. You good?
Yeah. I mean, anything you want to add to that? I've got a minute or two if you.
No, I mean, I always use the analogy, we're talking about hunting, but I always use the analogy of like shooting arrows too. It's not fun. It's not as fun when you don't track. Like you and I would never go out to a field and just say, hey, let's sling arrows down that way.
Right. It sounds so dumb.
After the first arrow, you'd be like, okay, why are we even doing this?
Yeah.
Right.
But if you went out there and you painted like a red circle and you're like, let's see if we could drop it into the red circle.
Changes the game, right?
Totally.
It makes the shooting the arrow more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what tracking does. Obviously we get results that way, but we enjoy it a little bit more because we actually know like that we're working towards something, right? That we're on a path of growth and improvement. And there's purpose and fulfillment in just doing that act, sometimes even if we fail at it.
Yeah. So. Yep. I look at guys like Cam Hanes, that guy shoots every day. Every day he shoots. But if you watch him, his videos, like he's shooting at 120 yards. Is he going to shoot an elk at 120 yards? I mean, maybe, but I'd be willing to bet that he'd like to be closer to 60 to 80 yards. Yeah. But he shoots at 120 yards because he wants to prove he can do it. And then not only that, he puts a balloon out and he tries to hit the balloon. This is exactly what we're saying. So this
Yeah.
is a guy that does something every single day, and yet he finds little ways to try to improve by measuring it and making it more enjoyable by hitting, a 6-inch, 8-inch inflated balloon at 120 yards.
Yeah.
This is the same concept.
And it's interesting to play with this thought a little bit. Like I think about jujitsu, right? Like what's the measure for jujitsu? The measure is open mat. Is this working? Can I
Yeah.
actually catch someone in a Kimura? Can I do this mission? Does it actually
Yeah.
work? Can I escape? It's a measurement. Not everyone goes open mat though. And it's
No.
because they don't want to face, is it actually working either? So I think there's a human tendency to go, hey, I'm doing fine, but I'm not going to track, right?
Yeah.
Because I may not want to face the music and go, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am, right? Maybe it's not actually working,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm going to feel good in just showing up, but I'm not going to measure it as much because I don't want to deal in reality. And I
Yeah.
think there might be a little bit of tendency that we might have there as well.
I actually had a really interesting experience several weeks ago. I went to train with Tanner Guzzi. A lot of guys know Tanner. Tanner. He came down. He's like, "Hey, do you want to go train jujitsu?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to." So we went and trained, and I was looking forward to just like training with him, like him and I rolling.
Yeah.
And this woman comes up, and she's kind of a smaller little thing, and she's like, "Hey, can I train with you guys?" It was Saturday, so it was open mat only. There was no instruction. It was just open mat. And I'm kind of like, oh, like this woman, she's little, like, and I'm like, yeah, come train with us. And she goes and gets her gi, and she's a brown belt. I'm like, oh shit, like, okay, like this could get interesting.
Yeah, I like
So
how she asked without the belt first.
she
Yeah.
asked me without the belt. She had her gi pants on and a rash guard, but she didn't have her top or her belt on. And so she comes and she's got her brown belt on. And I've got 60 pounds on her, like easy
Yeah.
60 pounds, maybe more.
Yeah.
And I could not submit her.
Yeah.
And she said something interesting to me, and she wasn't rude about it. She couldn't
The
submit
local
me.
girl.
No, I think she had just moved there, or
Okay.
she was from Hawaii, and she was
Okay.
either visiting or had just moved there.
Got it.
And she said something interesting. She couldn't submit me because I have 70 pounds. Like she could grab I
Yeah.
could give her my arm,
Muscling out of
and she
things a little
probably
bit.
still
Yeah.
couldn't do anything with it, right?
Yeah.
And so I couldn't submit her because she's way too technical. She couldn't submit me because she just didn't have the size. And she said something interesting. She's like, "Hey, I think when we roll next, we should just flow." She's like, "Because that last time we rolled didn't serve either of us. Like
There's a
you did."
stalemating almost.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
stalemated. She's like, "I couldn't do
Yeah.
anything against you because you're way bigger than me. And you couldn't do anything against me because you're just not as skilled to be able to do anything. So let's just flow."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So that's exactly what we did. The next time we rolled, her and I we just flowed.
Catch and
And,
release and just kind
just
of, yeah.
she caught me here, let her go. I caught her there, let her go. And I was like, "Oh, that's actually really cool." Like it was cool of her to say that because she recognized me just laying on top of her isn't going to help her. It's not going to help me. So she
Yeah.
came up with a solution that would serve both of us. I don't know. I just thought it was a pretty cool experience.
That is
And it was
cool.
a way for us to just engage in something that served both of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Yep.
All right, sir. Well,
Cool.
as always, you can connect with us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/group/order of man. The other key thing is open enrollment for the Iron Council coming up next month. So join us to learn more about the Iron Council. Go to orderofman.com/Iron Council. I'm assuming you have an update on the store.
Yeah, we've got new
Swag.
hat. We're calling these unofficial moo hat.
Moo,
I did
the
not come up
opposite.
with that term, but sometimes if like the picture is backwards, it just looks like moo. So
Moo.
the
I
moo
love it.
hats are available. So we have the tan color and we have the green color. We also have, I wish I had one on, but we have the most comfortable hoodies we've ever had. And we have them in this tan
Cool.
color. We have them in OD green and we have them in black. And then we have our brand new wool beanies. They're awesome. So we have a yellow one, a red one, a navy one, a rust colored one, a black one, and a green one. I don't know if I said that. So we've got 6 different colors of those beanies as well. So you can check all that stuff out at store.orderofman.com. Do it quick. It's November 20th. My daughter and her friend are fulfilling orders. They love to fill orders. So I have these two little girls in there, and it's not slave labor. It's not, I don't pay, like I pay them. I don't not pay them. I pay them. They're little employees of mine, and they're actually making more money than some of you guys because
Yeah.
they're awesome with the amount of orders, and I pay them per order they fill, and they're little workers. So you're supporting our organization. You're supporting a couple little girls that are trying to earn some money for Christmas and stuff like that. And we have a good time doing it. So check it out, store.orderman.com.
And you can connect with Ryan on X and Instagram at Ryan Mickler.
That's right. All right, guys.
Cool.
Appreciate you. Hopefully next week is a little better for me and I don't have as many gripe stories.
Complaining your first world problems. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully I don't hurt
Hopefully
myself
that
playing
calf's okay.
pickleball anymore. Pickleball. I
Oh,
got to
man.
come up with a better
I
story
agree.
than that.
Yeah, that'd be embarrassing to say.
Jiu-jitsu. That chick, that brown belt, like twisted my leg. She heel hooked me and I didn't tap and snapped my knee and calf and everything else. All right. Well, anyways, guys, you have a great day. We'll be back on Friday. Until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.